Have you ever wondered how some people manage to stay healthy and vibrant well into their later years, while others struggle with chronic issues that could have been prevented? What if I told you that the secret to a long, healthy life could be hiding in the simplest, most overlooked habits, things we often take for granted? In this video, we're diving into 5 key areas of your body that you absolutely must keep clean, especially as you get older. These simple practices can make all the difference in your health, well-being, and longevity. And trust me, this isn't just about avoiding bad smells or looking good. These habits have the power to protect you from infections, boost your confidence, and even extend your life. You'll hear real-life stories from people just like you, who learned the hard way how neglecting these small but crucial hygiene practices led to bigger health problems. From Uncle Joe's struggle with skin irritation to Mr. Ravi's stomach troubles, we'll explore the lessons they learned and how these simple changes helped them regain control of their health. By the end of this video, you'll not only know exactly which 5 areas you need to focus on, but also why it's critical to adopt these habits now to prevent bigger issues later. So stay tuned, because the changes you make today can set you on the path to a healthier, longer life. Let's get started. If you are not subscribed, I recommend subscribing and activating the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support means a lot to me, and if you enjoyed this video, you can help me continue spreading the valuable lessons by liking and sharing it. If you like the topic of this video, please comment 1. If you don't, please comment 0 to let me know how I can improve and make better videos for you. Now, let's begin. Section 1. The importance of clean hands. Let me introduce you to someone who, in many ways, represents the essence of wisdom gained through a life well lived. Mr. Ravi is a retired teacher whose love for books was rivaled only by his passion for learning and sharing knowledge. He had spent decades imparting lessons to young minds, teaching them everything from history to literature, and had acquired a deep understanding of many things in life. Yet, despite all the wisdom he'd gathered over the years, there was one seemingly insignificant habit that he, like so many others, had never fully grasped: the importance of washing his hands regularly. For Mr. Ravi, the simple act of washing his hands was something he thought of as optional, something he could skip without consequence. After all, he reasoned, his hands didn't appear dirty, and he had never been one to succumb to colds or minor illnesses. It was easy for him to dismiss the routine of washing his hands as unnecessary, just another thing to add to his already full day. But as time passed, this small oversight would begin to take its toll in ways he could never have imagined. Mr. Ravi started experiencing frequent and intense stomach aches, sharp, uncomfortable pains that seemed to come out of nowhere. The episodes of discomfort were followed by bouts of diarrhea, leaving him feeling exhausted, bewildered, and increasingly frustrated. He found himself wondering what had changed. He had always been careful with his diet and took good care of his health. Why was his body suddenly rebelling against him in such an unpredictable way? After a few weeks of enduring these troubling symptoms, Mr. Ravi finally decided to visit his doctor, hoping for answers. The doctor, a kind and patient person, listened attentively to Mr. Ravi's concerns and asked him about his daily habits. As they discussed his routine, the doctor gently pointed out something that Mr. Ravi had never considered: his habit of eating without washing his hands. At first, Mr. Ravi was taken aback. He had always assumed that if his hands looked clean, they were clean. After all, he had lived a full life without the need for hand washing, and he hadn't noticed any visible dirt or grime on his hands before meals. Why should this small act matter? The doctor, understanding Mr. Ravi's confusion, took the time to explain how, even when hands appear clean, they can still carry harmful bacteria and viruses. It wasn't just about visible dirt, it was about the unseen microbes that clung to his hands, picked up from the surfaces he touched throughout the day. The doctor explained how these invisible invaders could easily make their way into the body, especially through food, and cause a range of issues, from mild stomach upsets to more severe illnesses like food poisoning. Mr. Ravi was shocked. He had always prided himself on being healthy and vigilant, but here was a simple habit he had been overlooking, one that could be putting his health at risk without him even realizing it. The doctor continued, explaining that proper hand washing, washing with soap and water, for at least 20 seconds, was one of the most effective ways to prevent the spread of harmful bacteria and viruses. He emphasized that this simple act, done before eating and after certain activities, like using the restroom or handling public objects, could drastically reduce the risk of infections. It wasn't just about maintaining hygiene, it was about actively protecting the body from the harmful germs that surround us every day. Mr. Ravi had always valued cleanliness and health, but now he realized that it wasn't enough to simply rely on appearances. His hands, though seemingly clean, were potentially carrying invisible threats. The doctor's advice was a revelation to Mr. Ravi. He hadn't known that something as routine as hand washing could have such a powerful impact on his health. But, eager to improve and embrace this newfound wisdom, Mr. Ravi took the doctor's words to heart. He began to wash his hands regularly, before every meal, after using the restroom, and after touching anything in public spaces. It felt a bit tedious at first, but he quickly grew accustomed to the routine. And most importantly, he began to notice a difference in how he felt. Within a few weeks of adopting this simple habit, Mr. Ravi's stomach problems, those persistent aches and uncomfortable episodes of diarrhea, started to disappear. He felt lighter, healthier, and more energetic than he had in months. It was as though a cloud had lifted from his life. The change was nothing short of miraculous. His quality of life improved dramatically, and he realized how much of an impact a small, everyday habit could have on his overall well-being. It wasn't just about avoiding stomach issues, it was about improving his health in ways he hadn't even anticipated. This experience with Mr. Ravi is a poignant reminder that, in life, we often overlook the simplest things, the small actions that seem so mundane but are, in reality, incredibly powerful. We may take them for granted, believing that they are too insignificant to matter. But the truth is, something as simple as washing our hands can have a profound effect on our health. The World Health Organization underscores this, emphasizing that regular hand washing can prevent illnesses ranging from the common cold to serious diseases like food poisoning, respiratory infections, and even flu outbreaks. The act of washing your hands is not just about cleanliness. It is a shield, a protective measure that helps prevent the invisible germs and bacteria that constantly surround us from entering our bodies. Studies have shown that proper hand washing can reduce the risk of diarrhea-related diseases by as much as 40% and respiratory infections by 20%. These numbers may sound like statistics, but they represent something much more important. Lives saved, unnecessary suffering avoided, and a simple, effective way to improve the quality of life for everyone. By making hand washing a regular habit, you are not only protecting yourself but also safeguarding those around you, especially the elderly, the very young, and those with weakened immune systems who are most vulnerable to illness. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. So, the next time you sit down to eat, before you pick up your fork, before you reach for that delicious bite, take a moment to wash your hands. It might seem like a small thing, but that act could be the difference between good health and unnecessary illness. It could save you from the frustration and discomfort Mr. Ravi experienced. He learned this lesson the hard way, but you don't have to. Don't wait for a wake-up call or for your body to send you a distress signal. Take control of your health today, and make hand washing a priority. It's a small habit, yes, but one with the power to change everything. And in the end, it's the simple things that make the biggest difference. Section 2. The hidden danger of unwashed feet. Let me share a story about someone who taught me a profound lesson in self-care. Grandma Lynn was a vibrant woman in her golden years, a passionate gardener who had spent her entire life cultivating not only flowers and vegetables but also a deep connection with nature. Her garden was her sanctuary, the place where she felt most alive. There was nothing she loved more than losing herself in the soil, hands, and feet deeply immersed in the earth, grounding herself with each touch. And yes, most of the time, she did it barefoot. It wasn't just a casual hobby for her, it was a sacred ritual, a way for her to feel connected to the land and the natural world around her. She took pride in feeling the cool soil between her toes, convinced that it brought her a deeper sense of peace, of unity with nature. But over time, something began to change, slowly and quietly, beneath the surface. Grandma Lynn's love for gardening, and her moments of peace, were unknowingly setting the stage for a hidden danger. Her bare feet, so frequently exposed to the dirt, moisture, and bacteria that flourished in her garden, were silently becoming a breeding ground for infection. It wasn't something she could see at first. She began to notice the subtle signs. Her feet felt slightly irritated, itchy, and a little red around the edges. The skin was beginning to peel, but she shrugged it off as nothing more than a minor annoyance, a normal consequence of spending so much time outdoors, right? After all, she had lived a long, full life, and a little discomfort was nothing new to her. She thought that if she ignored it, it would go away on its own. But over the weeks, that small irritation grew into something far worse. The redness turned into painful swelling, the itching became unbearable, and soon the peeling skin was replaced by cracks that bled. Walking became an ordeal. Every step sent sharp pangs of pain through her feet, making it hard to even move around her garden, let alone enjoy the peace and joy it once brought her. The simple act of tending to her plants, which had been her favorite pastime, was now a daily reminder of her neglect. It wasn't until Grandma Lynn's condition became too severe to ignore that she finally decided to see a doctor. What she learned during that visit was both shocking and humbling. The doctor explained that the root cause of her foot problems was, quite simply, a lack of proper hygiene. The dirt, moisture, and warmth that accumulated in the folds of her feet while she spent long hours in the garden had created the perfect environment for fungi and bacteria to thrive. Without realizing it, Grandma Lynn had been inviting infection into her body, and over time, it had taken hold. The doctor didn't mince words. She was told that neglecting to properly wash, dry, and care for her feet had allowed bacteria to flourish, causing an infection that was now difficult to treat. The doctor explained that older adults, like Grandma Lynn, are particularly susceptible to foot infections because the skin becomes thinner and more fragile as we age, and circulation slows down, making it harder for the body to fight off infections. That was a sobering thought, something she hadn't considered before. The simple act of neglecting her feet, something she never thought would have major consequences, had now put her ability to walk, her mobility, and even her independence at risk. Her doctor's advice was straightforward. Grandma Lynn needed to start a daily routine of cleaning her feet thoroughly with warm water and mild soap, drying them completely, especially between the toes, and applying a good moisturizer to keep the skin from cracking. She was also told to wear shoes that allowed her feet to breathe, particularly while gardening. This meant no more bare feet in the dirt. It was hard to let go of that connection to the earth, but it was a necessary sacrifice. The doctor stressed that foot hygiene wasn't just about keeping her feet clean, it was about keeping her body safe and healthy, about avoiding infections that could spiral out of control. It wasn't an overnight transformation, but within weeks, Grandma Lynn started to notice the difference. Slowly but surely, her feet healed. The swelling and redness began to fade, and the painful cracks started to close up. Walking became less of a struggle, and eventually, she was able to return to her garden, tending to her plants once again. More than that, she had gained something far more valuable: a deep respect for the importance of foot care and a newfound commitment to maintaining her health and independence. Grandma Lynn's story serves as a powerful reminder for all of us, especially as we grow older, of just how easy it is to overlook the small things that can have a big impact on our health. We tend to take our feet for granted, but they carry us through life, literally. Yet, as we age, our bodies change, and we become more vulnerable to conditions that we might have dismissed when we were younger. Foot problems are more than just an inconvenience. They can lead to serious complications. If left unchecked, something as simple as neglecting your feet can lead to infections, chronic pain, and a loss of mobility that can diminish your quality of life. Foot hygiene is not just about keeping your feet clean. It's about maintaining your independence, your freedom to move, and your ability to live life on your terms. It's especially important as we age because, with age, Our skin becomes thinner and more fragile, our circulation slows, and our immune systems weaken, making it harder for our bodies to fight off infections. A small cut or crack in the skin can easily become infected, and that infection can spread, causing more serious health problems. Regularly washing and drying your feet, checking them for cuts, blisters, or signs of infection, and moisturizing them to prevent dryness and cracking is a simple but essential part of self-care that can have a profound effect on your overall health and well-being. Good foot care can help you maintain mobility, prevent pain, and avoid infections that could lead to more serious complications. It's not just about comfort, it's about your quality of life. When your feet are healthy, you can continue doing the things you love, whether it's gardening, walking, or simply moving through your day with ease. When your feet hurt or become infected, even the simplest tasks can feel like insurmountable challenges. Taking care of your feet is a step toward preserving your independence, your health, and your happiness. So, take it from Grandma Lynn. Don't wait until the damage is done to take action. Make foot hygiene a priority. Take the time to wash, dry, and moisturize your feet every day, and wear shoes that allow them to breathe and stay dry. Your feet carry you through life. Give them the care and attention they deserve. The small effort you put into caring for your feet today can help you live a longer, healthier, and more independent life tomorrow. Section 3. The often neglected armpits. Let me tell you about Uncle Joe, an extraordinary man with a heart as big as the sky, whose kindness seemed to have no limits. He had always been the life of every family gathering, the one who could light up a room with just his presence. His laughter was contagious, and his stories were always filled with warmth and humor. For years, Uncle Joe was the anchor of the family, a widower who, despite the sadness of losing his wife, always found a way to spread joy and offer support to his children and grandchildren. He was the epitome of grace, dignity, and love, offering wisdom and encouragement without asking for anything in return. But as the years went by, and his grief deepened after his wife's passing, something inside him began to change. He wasn't the same lively man he once was. Little by little, he withdrew into himself, his once vibrant spirit now shadowed by solitude. He stopped attending family gatherings as regularly, and when he did, he seemed quieter, more distant. Most striking of all was his self-care. His meticulous grooming routines began to fall by the wayside. Things that once seemed so simple, brushing his teeth, showering regularly, tending to his appearance, started to slip through the cracks of his mind. At first, his family didn't think much of it. They chalked it up to his grief, understanding that sometimes we need time to heal. But soon, a subtle and unpleasant reality began to emerge. Whenever they visited Uncle Joe, they noticed a strange, lingering odor in the air. It wasn't overpowering, but it was undeniable, a scent that hung around him in a way that made them uncomfortable. It wasn't something that could easily be ignored, but at the same time, they didn't want to hurt his feelings. They knew Uncle Joe had always been a proud man, and bringing up such a sensitive issue could be difficult for him. It became a quiet, unspoken tension that weighed on them. As the months went by, it wasn't just the odor that became a concern. Uncle Joe began developing painful rashes under his arms, and what had once been simple daily movements now caused him discomfort. Raising his arms, reaching for something on a shelf, even hugging his grandchildren, all became painful tasks. His skin had grown raw and irritated, the rashes becoming more inflamed and uncomfortable by the day. The poor man had to endure this daily discomfort, and it was clear to everyone who loved him that his condition was getting worse. Finally, it was his daughter, the one who had always been closest to him, who could no longer sit idly by. With all the tenderness and love a daughter can offer, she gently brought up the issue. She spoke with him quietly, softly, as though walking on eggshells, afraid of causing him any more distress. "Dad," she said, "I think it's time we saw a doctor. I'm worried about those rashes, and I think it might be easier to treat than we realize. Maybe it's something that's been going on for a while, and we just haven't noticed." It was an incredibly difficult conversation, but in the end, Uncle Joe agreed to go. The doctor, in his calm, compassionate way, explained what was happening. Uncle Joe's lack of regular armpit hygiene had led to a buildup of sweat, bacteria, and dead skin cells. Over time, this had caused the odor and the skin irritation that had made his life so much more difficult. The doctor explained that as we age, our bodies change in ways that can make it harder to care for ourselves in the way we once did. Sweat glands become more active, skin becomes thinner and more delicate, and bacteria can build up more easily, causing infections and unpleasant smells. The rashes Uncle Joe had developed were a direct result of this neglect, and without proper hygiene, they would continue to worsen. It was a sobering revelation for Uncle Joe, and for his family as well. They hadn't realized that something as simple as daily washing could make such a significant difference in his well-being. It wasn't a matter of neglecting himself intentionally. It was the gradual erosion of his self-care routines, compounded by the challenges of aging and the emotional toll of grief. After the appointment, Uncle Joe started taking small but vital steps to regain his health. He began washing his armpits daily with a mild, fragrance-free soap that wouldn't irritate his delicate skin. The key was to wash gently, without harsh scrubbing, to avoid causing further damage. But the real breakthrough came with drying the area thoroughly after each wash. Something as simple as ensuring the skin was completely dry prevented moisture from lingering and breeding bacteria. Within just a few days, Uncle Joe began to notice a difference. The odor that had once clung to him faded away, and the rashes began to heal. Slowly but surely, the discomfort in his body began to subside. But more than that, his confidence returned. The glint of joy that had once sparkled in his eyes started to reappear. He began to engage with his family again, telling stories, laughing, and embracing those around him with the warmth and love they had longed to see. Uncle Joe was back, and not just physically. His spirit had found its way home. Uncle Joe's experience is far too common, especially among older adults. The armpits are one of the body's most active areas for sweat, bacteria, and dead skin cells. When we neglect this area, we allow a breeding ground for odor, infection, and irritation to develop. As we age, our skin becomes more sensitive, thinner, and less able to withstand the friction and moisture that would have been easy to handle in younger years. If left unchecked, poor hygiene can lead to rashes, infections, and a decline in self-esteem. For older adults, maintaining simple hygiene routines like this one is especially crucial in preserving both physical health and emotional well-being. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment below to let me know that you are still here with me. The truth is, taking care of your armpits is not just about avoiding unpleasant smells. It's about maintaining the health of your skin and the comfort of your daily life. It's about keeping your body in balance and giving yourself the respect you deserve. A small act, like washing your armpits daily, can have a profound impact. It prevents discomfort, reduces the risk of infection, and perhaps most importantly, helps maintain your dignity. In Uncle Joe's case, something so simple, so seemingly inconsequential, restored more than just his body. It brought back his confidence, his sense of self-worth, and his connection to the people he loved. It reminded him, and all of us, that self-care is not a luxury. It is an essential part of honoring who we are as individuals, no matter our age. So, please, don't overlook your armpits. They may seem like a minor part of your body, but they play a much bigger role in your overall well-being than you might realize. The simple act of washing and drying your armpits properly can help you feel more comfortable in your skin, improve your confidence, and protect your health. It's a small investment that can make a big difference. One that can help you age gracefully, with dignity, and with the knowledge that you are doing everything you can to take care of yourself. Just like Uncle Joe, a little extra care can go a long way in improving not just your physical health, but your emotional and mental well-being as well. Section 4. The sensitive area around the neck. Let me share a story with you about Aunt Rose, a woman in her 70s whose elegance and grace were always evident to anyone who met her. She was the epitome of class, always draped in beautiful scarves and her signature pearls, her attire meticulously chosen to reflect her timeless sense of style. To the world, Aunt Rose was the picture of poise and refinement. She had always taken great pride in her appearance, believing that a well-groomed exterior was a reflection of inner dignity. For many years, she was able to maintain her flawless skin, youthful energy, and vibrant sense of self. But as we all know, aging is a journey, and it doesn't always follow a predictable path. Over time, Aunt Rose began to notice something unusual. Something that, at first, seemed so minor that she barely acknowledged it. It started with a mild itch around her neck. She brushed it off, thinking it was just an occasional irritation, maybe a bit of dry skin or a reaction to the fabric of her scarves. But as the days passed, the discomfort grew more persistent, and she started to feel an unexplainable tightness, as though the skin around her neck was becoming more delicate, more sensitive. It was around this time that small red patches appeared in the folds of her neck, accompanied by a kind of irritation she couldn't ignore. The discomfort soon evolved into a full-fledged issue. The patches worsened, becoming increasingly inflamed and tender. Aunt Rose found herself constantly adjusting her scarves, trying to hide the redness and soothe the growing discomfort. She began to feel embarrassed, as though something about her appearance had shifted in a way she couldn't control. It was a humbling experience. Something so small, so easily ignored, was now affecting her self-esteem. This wasn't just about looking good anymore. It was about feeling comfortable in her skin, which, for someone like Aunt Rose, had always been so effortless. Her sense of unease led her to schedule an appointment with her doctor. She hoped it was nothing serious, maybe just a reaction to a new laundry detergent or something temporary that could be easily resolved. But when the doctor examined her, he delivered an unexpected diagnosis. The cause of her irritation wasn't dry skin or an allergy. Sweat, dirt, and oils had built up in the folds of her neck, and the lack of proper cleaning had led to a fungal infection. The realization hit Aunt Rose hard. She had always been meticulous about her beauty routine: scrubs, moisturizers, and the occasional spa treatment, but she had never considered the folds of her neck as an area that required special attention. She had assumed that, like other areas of her body, the neck would naturally take care of itself. The doctor explained that as we age, our skin becomes thinner and more delicate, and the natural oils and sweat our bodies produce become harder to manage. The folds of the neck, which can trap moisture and bacteria, become an ideal environment for fungal growth. For Aunt Rose, this was a wake-up call. Her neglect in this area, although unintentional, had led to a real health concern. The doctor gently advised her to clean the area daily with mild soap and lukewarm water, taking care to dry it thoroughly afterward. Moisturizing afterward was important, but it had to be done lightly, with a product suited for mature skin. This new routine felt like a small change, but Aunt Rose was committed. She had always prided herself on taking care of her appearance, and now, even though it wasn't glamorous, she was determined to follow the doctor's advice. Day by day, she began to tend to the folds of her neck, gently washing and drying the skin before applying a light moisturizer. Within a few weeks, the infection that had plagued her began to clear up. The redness faded, the irritation subsided, and Aunt Rose felt an overwhelming sense of relief. She couldn't believe how something so simple had made such a difference, restoring her comfort and confidence. It was as if she had rediscovered a part of herself, one that had been hidden behind discomfort and self-consciousness. Aunt Rose's experience is a valuable lesson, one that many of us may overlook. The neck is an incredibly sensitive area, often neglected in our skincare routines. It's a part of our body that can easily trap sweat, dirt, and oils, especially in the folds where the skin naturally creases. This area requires special care, particularly as we age and our skin becomes thinner and more prone to irritation. Neglecting this delicate skin can lead to infections, redness, and discomfort that not only affect our physical well-being but can also take a toll on our emotional state. We can become self-conscious and embarrassed by something we think is out of our control. The truth is, our necks deserve as much attention as any other part of our body. Regularly cleaning and drying the folds, followed by a gentle moisturizer, can go a long way in preventing infections and maintaining healthy, smooth skin. The routine may seem simple, but it's an act of self-care that ensures the comfort of the body and mind. It also prevents long-term skin issues that could affect our overall well-being. After all, we want to feel good in our skin, especially as we age. No one should have to endure the discomfort of neglecting a part of their body that deserves care and attention. Aunt Rose didn't just take this lesson to heart. She made it her mission to share it with others. She became an advocate for neck care, educating her friends, family, and even acquaintances about the importance of caring for this often overlooked area. She would tell them, with a gentle smile, "Don't forget to give your neck the care it deserves." You'd be amazed at how something so simple can make such a difference. Aunt Rose, ever the teacher, found a new sense of purpose in sharing her story. It was as if she had transformed a personal challenge into an opportunity to help others, empowering those around her to take better care of themselves. So, whether you're a woman like Aunt Rose, who loves her scarves and pearls, or someone simply going about your daily routine, remember this: don't neglect the sensitive area around your neck. It may not be the most glamorous part of your skincare routine, but it's vital for your overall health and well-being. A little effort, a small daily habit, can help keep this delicate area clean, healthy, and free from discomfort. The changes you make today, no matter how minor, can make a significant impact on your future comfort and confidence. When you care for your neck, you're not just taking care of your skin, you're honoring your body, your dignity, and the grace that comes with taking the time to nurture yourself, no matter your age. Section 5. Intimate areas and their health. There's a topic that often remains hidden in the shadows of conversation, one that many of us prefer to shy away from, but it's one of the most important aspects of our health as we age. Intimate hygiene. The very idea of discussing it can evoke feelings of embarrassment, discomfort, or even denial. However, as we grow older, the need to address this subject becomes undeniable. It's essential, not only for our physical well-being but for our dignity and quality of life. Allow me to share the story of Mr. Bernard, an 80-year-old gentleman who, like so many others, had always cherished his independence and self-reliance. He was the kind of man who valued taking care of himself, who had always prided himself on his health, and who had managed to maintain a strong sense of pride throughout his life. But as time marched on, Mr. Bernard began to experience a troubling change. Something subtle at first, but as the days passed, it grew impossible to ignore. He started feeling a burning, almost searing discomfort every time he went to the bathroom. It wasn't just an occasional nuisance. It became a persistent, nagging pain that interfered with his daily life. He couldn't help but feel frustrated and embarrassed by it, even though he knew deep down that it was something he couldn't keep ignoring. And yet, like so many others, he found himself reluctant to seek help. The very idea of discussing such an intimate, personal issue left him feeling vulnerable and exposed. He tried to push through it, hoping it would just go away on its own, but instead, the discomfort grew worse. He felt trapped by his reluctance to talk about it. It wasn't until his son, sensing his father's struggle, gently encouraged him to visit the doctor that Mr. Bernard finally decided to seek medical advice. When he saw the doctor, the diagnosis was clear: a urinary tract infection, UTI. Mr. Bernard was both relieved and a little ashamed. The relief came from finally having an explanation for the discomfort he had been experiencing. The shame, however, was harder to shake. He realized that the root cause of his infection was something that he had neglected to care for properly: his intimate hygiene. As he sat there in the sterile doctor's office, Mr. Bernard couldn't help but feel embarrassed. How had he overlooked something so essential to his health? It was clear now that this wasn't just an isolated issue. It was part of a much larger picture. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 3 below to let me know that you are still here with me. The doctor took the time to explain that proper hygiene in intimate areas is something that all of us need to prioritize, especially as we get older. The skin in these sensitive areas becomes more delicate, and our immune systems become less resilient. making us more susceptible to infections. And yet, it's a subject that's often swept under the rug. We don't talk about it because we feel ashamed, or because we think it's just something that happens with age, something that's out of our control. But the reality is that proper care in these areas can prevent discomfort, promote healing, and ensure we continue to feel comfortable and confident in our bodies. The doctor gently reassured Mr. Bernard, offering practical advice and guidance on how to take better care of himself. It wasn't about doing something drastic or complicated. It was about making small but meaningful changes. First, he recommended washing these areas daily with lukewarm water and avoiding harsh soaps or products that could irritate the skin. Mr. Bernard had been using strong soaps in the past, thinking they were cleaning him more effectively, but in reality, they were causing more harm than good. The doctor also emphasized the importance of wearing breathable fabrics, like cotton, which allow the skin to stay dry and prevent the buildup of bacteria. These were simple, easy-to-follow practices that Mr. Bernard could incorporate into his daily routine, and they had the power to make a profound difference. Within a few days of following the doctor's advice, Mr. Bernard noticed a remarkable improvement. The burning sensation that had tormented him for so long began to fade away. The discomfort that had once made him feel powerless and defeated slowly turned into a distant memory. Not only did his physical symptoms improve, but something even more important happened. His sense of self-worth and confidence began to return. He felt like himself again, strong, capable, and most of all, in control of his health. The simple act of caring for his intimate hygiene had empowered him in ways he hadn't anticipated. Mr. Bernard's story is not just about a medical condition or the solution to a personal issue. It's a powerful reminder that our intimate health deserves our attention and care, no matter our age. So many of us avoid addressing this topic because we think it's too uncomfortable to discuss. But the truth is that neglecting it can lead to unnecessary pain, frustration, and even long-term health problems. As we age, our bodies undergo countless changes, both physical and emotional. Our skin becomes more sensitive, our immune systems weaken, and the natural processes that once protected us become less effective. This makes older adults more prone to issues like urinary tract infections, skin irritations, and other uncomfortable conditions. But the good news is that by maintaining good hygiene habits and taking proactive steps, many of these problems can be prevented. Intimate hygiene is not just about preventing infections. It's also about preserving our dignity and self-esteem. As we grow older, we may feel a loss of control over various aspects of our bodies. Our appearance may change, our strength may wane, and our energy levels may not be what they once were. But there is one thing we can still control: how we care for ourselves. By taking time each day to ensure our intimate areas are clean, dry, and healthy, we are engaging in an act of self-respect. We are honoring our bodies and acknowledging that we are worth the effort. For Mr. Bernard, this simple act of self-care was life-changing. It wasn't just about alleviating physical discomfort, it was about reclaiming his autonomy, his dignity, and his ability to live with confidence. His story is a poignant reminder that no matter how old we get, we still have the power to care for ourselves. Taking the time to address intimate hygiene is an investment in our health, our well-being, and our self-respect. In the end, intimate hygiene is more than just a matter of physical health. It's about maintaining our sense of dignity and self-worth. It's about feeling comfortable in our skin, knowing that we are doing everything we can to ensure our bodies are healthy and well cared for. So, let's not shy away from this topic. Let's talk about it, let's embrace it, and let's take pride in taking care of ourselves. Because, at the end of the day, we deserve to feel good, both inside and out. Taking care of our intimate health is an essential part of living a longer, happier, and more fulfilling life. One in which we continue to feel empowered, confident, and proud of the person we've become. Mr. Bernard learned that by simply adjusting his routine, he could vastly improve his quality of life. In doing so, he was able to maintain his independence, his sense of self, and his ability to continue living life to the fullest, on his own terms. And so can we all. As we wrap up today's discussion, I hope you've gained some valuable insights into the importance of intimate hygiene, especially as we age. It's a topic that many of us shy away from, but as we've seen with Mr. Bernard's story, taking simple steps to care for ourselves can make a world of difference. Not just in terms of physical health, but in maintaining our dignity and self-worth. So, what have you learned so far? I'd love to hear from you. In the comments below, share one thing you've learned from today's video that you'll bring into your own life. Whether it's a new practice for maintaining intimate health or a shift in how you approach self-care, your journey could inspire others as well. If you liked this video, please leave your comment below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content like this. Let's continue learning and growing together, and as always, take care of yourself, because you deserve it.